Ladies and gentlemen, this is actually one of the hardest videos I have ever made. So much that I've actually been working on this now for multiple months because I'm adding games to the list and I'm taking some off. But now I think I have it down. In this video, we'll be going over the Nintendo Switch games that I absolutely cannot live without. So let's go and get right into it. I'm not even exaggerating. I've been taking games off this list, adding games to this list for multiple months. And then I finally looked at the list and I said, that's it. At first, I was going to make this 10 Switch games, but it's not 10 Switch games. These are the Switch games that resonate with me the most, that mean the most to me. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, it would truly mean the world to me. And let me show you the Switch games that I cannot live without. So being a lifelong Zelda fan, of course I have to have a Zelda game on this list. And where do I start? There's so many to choose from. I actually have 2 on this list. But we're going to start with Link's Awakening. I remember playing the original a long time ago when I was a little kid, and I probably beat a little bit of it, but I didn't really know what I was doing. But when I first seen this, I was very intrigued. Like, the art style is different, it looks kind of cute and bubbly, but somehow serious at the same time. And from the very moment I started playing it, like I'm talking second 0, I was absolutely in love with it. It was such a charming retelling of a story that I think is actually one of the best Zelda stories of all time. One of the weirdest Zelda stories. I'm not sure who greenlit this at Nintendo, or who thought up this idea, but whoever did nailed it right on the head. A lot of people know Zelda's my favorite game, so they'll ask me, which Zelda should I start with? And I mean, there's so many to choose from. A lot of people think you should start with the classics like Ocarina of Time or maybe even Wind Waker, but in my opinion, the Link's Awakening remake is the perfect entry into the series. A huge catalyst for making this list of Switch games I cannot live without is having games that I can play multiple times and still want to play more after that, and this game is the perfect way to start this video. Another Switch game that I cannot live without is Hollow Knight, and I know this game is on other platforms, but to me and in my mind it's a Switch game. It's where I first learned about it. I bought this on an eShop sale for like $8 or maybe $7.50, and I can't believe that a masterpiece like this was that cheap. And in getting ready to make this video, I was actually looking up the price of this game because I was sure it had to be $50 or $60 full price on the Switch. This game is only $15 full price. If you've ever played Hollow Knight and you enjoyed it, because there's 2 people. There's people who can appreciate it, but it's not for them. And then there's people like me who kind of go in blindly, don't know what they're doing, and start playing, and now it's one of your favorite games of all time. But for the people who have played this and enjoy it the way I do, you know exactly why it's on this list. The best way I can explain the game is it's atmospheric, and it evokes emotion depending on where you're at in the game. There's some times where it's unsettling, sometimes where it feels a little dangerous, sometimes where it feels warm and welcoming. And this is actually a game that I'm going to replay very, very soon, and I can't wait to do that. When I was first making this list, Hollow Knight was the very first game that came to mind, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So the next game may be a little controversial because you kind of can't buy it anymore, at least from Nintendo. Like, it was on the eShop, but it's not anymore. You used to be able to buy it at GameStop and your local game stores. You kind of still can, but not for retail price. But I don't care, I absolutely freaking love it. And I'm talking about Super Mario 3D All-Stars. This is a collection of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. Besides Super Mario Odyssey, I would argue these are the 3 best Mario games of all time. You could also add Super Mario 3 to that list, but when we're talking about 3D games, like, these are the ones to go with. Super Mario 64 was groundbreaking, and it's still fun to play to this very day. Super Mario Sunshine is my favorite Mario game of all time, and at the time, people hated it. Now I feel like a little people are more nostalgic for it and coming around a little more. And Super Mario Galaxy, I mean, where do we even start with this? It is a perfect 10 out of 10 game. I wish they would have added a few extra things in the package, you know, maybe some like little hints and highlights and little secret stuff, but this easily made this list. So instead of adding 1 game to this list, why don't we add a few? Or instead of a few, why don't we add over 50 games? Well, that's what the next entry is. Sega Genesis Classics is the largest collection of retro classics on the Nintendo Switch, including over 50 titles across all genres. From all-time classics like Sonic and Streets of Rage 2, to amazing RPGs like the Phantasy Star series, arcade action shooters, beat-em-ups, puzzles, old favorites, and hidden gems. So this often goes on sale in the eShop for only $5.99. I'm not going to do the math here because this is not a math YouTube channel, but you're getting over 50 games for $6. I would say that's a bargain. And the setting they created is so cool. It's like an old bedroom in the 90s. You have to actually put your games into the Sega, turn on your TV, you can change the settings. It really is just a great way to play games. This one surprised me, because even though I grew up with a Sega, I really don't know that much about Sega games. Like, I know Sonic and a few other things, but this allows me to dive deep into them and experience them at my own pace and see what I like and what I don't like. Let's do the scenario where you're on an island and you could only bring so many games. How could you not bring this? So the next game is another Zelda game, and there's actually quite a few on the Switch. Like, especially if you include Nintendo Switch Online, there's all the classic stuff, but then there's all the modern stuff as well. You would probably think, well, how could you not add Tears of the Kingdom? And Tears of the Kingdom did grow on me. At first, I beat it and it felt like a chore, but when I went back and played it, I dove into it, probably put 50 extra hours into it. But for the sake of this video, I have to pick Breath of the Wild. I truly wish I could experience Breath of the Wild again for the very first time. That opening setting is something that I think about often. You don't know it when you first start, but very soon after you realize this is going to be one of the greatest things you'll ever experience in the world of gaming. I remember when I first started playing this, I would not sleep. I would start playing at the end of the day, maybe around 10 p.m. And before I knew it, my Switch would start to die. And I was like, that's weird. I was just on 100%. Oh, 5 or 6 hours have passed that fast. I have beat this game 4 times. And if I started a new play right now, I would have no problem sitting down and playing through the entire adventure. I think objectively, Tears of the Kingdom is more impressive, but Breath of the Wild just does it for me. I prefer the story in Breath of the Wild as well to Tears of the Kingdom. But that's just my personal preference. For some reason, when I think about the big Zelda game on the Switch, Breath of the Wild just pops in mind. I always have to remind myself that Tears of the Kingdom is still there. And just look at how influential Breath of the Wild was. It spawned so many Zelda clones and other games that were inspired by it. And I think it rightly owned its mark in gaming history and the title to be called one of the greatest games of all time. So this next game is the newest game on this list. It's the game that I've played recent, and I'm actually playing right now. But it was very easy for me to see that it was going to make this list. It's perfect in every way to me. And I'm talking about Cult of the Lamb. I do enjoy farming simulators and stuff kind of like that, or life simulators or stuff where you build your own little village. So I almost put Dragon Quest Builders 2, I almost put Animal Crossing, and I almost put Stardew Valley. But all the things that I was missing from those games, I found in this game and more. This is like a mixture of all those games mixed with Hades. Sometimes I'm just fighting enemies and trying to gather resources. Other times I'm really trying to govern my little city. I'm trying to keep people in line. Sometimes I'm putting people in prison. You have to tell people where to go to work, go over here and farm for you. You have to perform rituals. You can marry all these cute little creatures, so do with that information what you will. In my opinion, Cult of the Lamb is a 10 out of 10 perfect game. And every time you play it, something new will surprise you. And you have to stop and think, how did a human possibly think of something like this? Because it's so genius, and it's so cool. I was actually on the fence for a while about buying this, because I'm one of those people, when everybody tells you to buy something and you're gonna like it and you need to play it, it kind of turns me off for some reason. And I know that's a me problem, because those people are probably just looking out for your best interest. But I finally picked it up on the eShop, and I'm so happy I did. So when thinking about games on the Switch, that I'm just so happy are there. I'm so happy they were actually created. Super Mario Odyssey is one of those games. One of my favorite Mario games to play is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. I think that's a great package, and it's probably the one I play the most frequently. But Super Mario Odyssey easily makes this list. This game really grows on me as time goes. And every time I'm not playing it, I think about it and I'm like, it's a pretty good game, but I don't know if it's as good as everybody says it is. And then the moment I start playing it again, I'm quickly reminded that it is that game. It really does deserve all the praise that it gets. For the Switch to start off with Breath of the Wild for the Zelda game, and Super Mario Odyssey to be the Mario game, it really raises the bar extremely high. So I'm very curious how they're going to one-up themselves for the Switch too. For the time being, they don't really need to. I think by definition, it's not an open world game, but each level feels open, and you're encouraged to go out and explore and discover things. And every time I play this, I discover new stuff. And in my opinion, it has the best gaming level of all time. And I'm talking about New Donk City. I could really go on and on about this game, and maybe I will one day make a dedicated video to it, because I just appreciate it so much. But yeah, Super Mario Odyssey easily makes this list. And for the final game, I'm going to add a Pokemon game. And if you're a fan of my channel, you probably know what game I'm going to pick. But if you're not, I'm curious to what you think I would pick. Do I go Sword and Shield, which a lot of people don't like, but I actually really enjoy those games a lot? Scarlet and Violet has a ton of problems. I beat that game in like a week. It was really fun, but I did try to replay it recently and I couldn't get into it. I played for like an hour and I was like, it's just not capturing me. And every other Pokemon game that I've probably played 5 times. I like the Diamond and Pearl remakes on the Switch. I really don't mind them. But I have to add Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. As someone who grew up playing Pokemon, I've been there since day one. I've been collecting the cards since they first came out, and I've been playing the game since they first came out. When I was about to turn 8 in the year 2000, my aunt came up to me and asked me, "What's your favorite color?" And I'm not sure why, but I picked yellow, and I'm sure that wasn't even the real answer. I was just trying to be different or cool for some reason. So for my birthday, she got me a yellow Game Boy Color and Pokemon Yellow, and from that moment on, I've been a diehard Pokemon fan. Like, it was so fun to be on the playground and at school and to exchange secrets. We all knew about the rumor of the Mew underneath the truck and how you could do the little glitch on Cinnabar Island. So when I seen this was a remake of Pokemon Yellow, I could not believe it. Like, I get to relive my childhood in modern times, and I know a lot of people think this game is too easy or it holds your hand too much, but I don't think it's supposed to be hard. In my opinion, it's supposed to be a celebration of Pokemon Yellow. I've beat this game maybe 3 times. I could start up a new play right now and play through it. I will always be nostalgic for the first 151 Pokemon because you really had to be there. Like collecting the cards and playing the games, and the anime was premiering brand new episodes like the first season on TV at the same time. So every time I play this, I'm just reminded of all those good times. And I truly don't think I would change a thing about these games. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not exaggerating. It was so freaking hard to make this list. Like, I would add a game, then I would take it off, add another game, take that off. But these were the games that I would add, and I wouldn't even think about taking them off. If I could only have these games on my Switch, and that's it. Like, yeah, it might get a little redundant if I play them over and over again, but I think I would be fine. In the comments below, let me know what Switch games you can't live without. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you could. I would really appreciate a follow. We are growing on both platforms, and that's amazing. And you guys know me. I'll see you soon with a new video. Peace out.